All right, everybody. Um, did a great job setting up your start backdrop and your end backdrop. That's good stuff. We're gonna work now on your game backdrop. This is a maze game, so we're gonna have to put some work into this maze backdrop. It's gonna be pretty important stuff. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get myself a backdrop to work from. Now I could go here and just start painting and paint the whole thing if I wanted to, and that's fine. If that's where you want to go, 100% supportive. But instead of doing that, I'm gonna get a backdrop that has something in it already, and then I'm going to add to it. So I'm going to go to choose a backdrop, and there's lots to choose from. What you're going to need to think about, though, with this particular backdrop, you're making a maze game. You need to think about a backdrop that's going to be a little bit simplistic, like visually simplistic. In terms of color scheme, it's going to need to be simplistic, and we'll talk about why as we continue through this process. But I love this stars backdrop, so I'm going to use this one as the start of my maze game. So here's my backdrop. Now I need to add to it my maze elements, right? Here's the thing with the maze elements. What you need to think about is making sure that the maze elements, meaning the walls of the maze itself, have to be a different color from every color that's in your backdrop. So I'm looking at this backdrop, I'm seeing a lot of whites, some off whites, definitely some blacks and deep blues. So I'm not going to use any of those. I need to make sure that I have a color that's different from all of those. So right here, I go to my color and I'm going to select a color that I feel like is not represented here. And I like this red. I could also go with like a bright neon green. That would work too. But I'm a big fan of red, so I'm going to stick with red. Now, once I've got red, I'm going to go to my rectangle tool, right? You can see right now I'm on a filled rectangle, and that's good. Another thing in this image, so this image right here is a bitmap, which is fine, but I want to click on the convert to vector tool because that's going to turn my tools into ones that I like a little bit better. So again, I'm on the rectangle tool and I'm just going to start making rectangles. Now, how you do this is a question for you to think about and you to determine. You can do a real simple maze that looks something like this, right? You could do just uh, rectangles that go up and down, right? That kind of separate different sections of the maze. This would be obviously a pretty simple maze. Right? We go up, we go down, we go up, we go down. But that would be one way to look at this. Another thing to do, another possibility is you could make like a spiral maze, right? So you could go in increasingly smaller and smaller spiral sections of the maze. Again, this is your choice here. These are some options you have in terms of how you want to set up your maze. You want to think about it, what it is you want your maze to look like, and that sort of thing. Again, this would be a little more complex. You'd have to start over here, go around and around and around. But again, not incredibly difficult to set up. Just a matter of you thinking about how you want to set up and making the game the way you want it to. We can also do some kind of combination of those two. So I can bring some L shapes into this. I can do some T shapes in my maze, right? So let's do some T. There's a T shape, right? I can do all kinds of. I can do boundaries from here. I could bring this boundary up to there. Uh, no, I think I want to bring it even higher than that, right? I want to send it to all the way up there, right? So again, you can do you can make your maze look the way you want it to look. We would like you very much to think about how you want your maze to look and to make your maze um, do exactly the things you want it to do, the way you want it to do, the way you want it to be. So let's move this one here so it intersects there. Now we've got a maze I'm pretty happy with, right? In terms of the general setup, how it looks, where I think I'm going to navigate through this. Pretty happy with the look of this, and I think it's going to work pretty well to make the navigation exactly what I want it to be. All right. So once you've got your maze set up, again, I would recommend you changing the backdrop name from whatever it is to maze level. I'm going to call it level. I'm going to call it maze level 1, and we'll talk more about why I'm going to call it that as we continue through the rest of these. So again, get your backdrop, make your maze look the way you want it to, and then you're good to go with your backdrops. Those 3 backdrops, all the backdrops we're going to need for this game. Good job.